Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So it's time for another edition of This Week in Master Duel, wherein we will cover all of the recent happenings, well, this week in Master Duel. As always, we'll start here in Client, talk about the stuff that's going on here, and then we'll look over to Master Duel meta for some leaks and tournament results. But before we go ahead and get started, I just wanted to remind everyone that I do have a Patreon if you're looking for some more daily Master Duel content. It's been a minute since I've plugged this, so I figured I'd do it now. But yeah, if you're looking for some more daily Master Duel content, I do post every single day over at Patreon. Link is going to be in the description below. If you're interested in joining, then you get access to that daily content, which includes previews, exclusive videos, games, and content exclusive to the Patreon. Q&As that are exclusive to the Patreon. You'll get your name featured at the end credits of every video as well. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier where I offer private one-on-one coaching sessions every month on that Patreon tier. So if you're interested, again, feel free to check out in the description below. But anyway, getting into the actual video itself, we're going to start, of course, here with in-game notifications. And of course, last week we had the huge Flame of Fury pack debuting, and not only did that bring, of course, the Cashier archetype, but also the Gishki upgrades and the Rescue Ace archetype. But we've already covered that definitely in some pretty good detail. So we got a new mate, Unchained Abomination, and I'm here for it. I really like the mate. I've been using it as I've been playing in the Duelist Cup, and really I like any mate that's got more than one animation, which it definitely feels very intentional at this point that the mates you can buy in the shop are often more detailed and have just more animations, whereas the ones you get from like the Duel Pass or like an event are typically more simple and only have like the one animation, right? But the Unchained Abomination mate is pretty cool. I can actually show it off a little bit more here on this screen. Yeah, it's pretty rad. Makes some cool noises, has some cool animations. I like the chain sound effects, of course. That's going to be pretty awesome. So it's a good pup, and glad to have this pup joining me in my duels moving forward. In addition to that, we have the Duelist Cup. So Duelist Cup event is now underway, and just a reminder, we did go over this in last week's edition of This Week in Master Duel when they announced the, I guess it's not down here anymore, but to remind everyone, every Duelist Cup in Master Duel now has the potential to qualify you for Worlds if you do well enough or if you accumulate enough points over the season. So those of you who are interested, get ready to grind weekend after next as that is going to be underway. I don't know that I'm going to be doing a whole lot of grinding for this one in October 2023, just because I don't really have the time set aside. I feel like it was kind of short notice to drop that. I mean, I feel like that's true of like literally every Master Duel notification, to be completely honest, but I don't know, if I just had like another even week, maybe two, to prepare as far as like content for YouTube, getting like that pre-scheduled out, and you know, just taking care of IRL stuff, then I maybe could have done it, but I don't know. I feel like it's too short notice. I don't feel like I have the opportunity to, but I would like to do an intense grind for one of the later ones next year in 2024. So possibly then we'll go ahead and go for our Worlds grind. But the first stage is begun, or has begun rather, as of a couple of days ago, and the second stage will begin again the weekend after next. So, and yeah, pretty standard stuff here as far as like Duelist Cup stuff, how to advance. You know, you won't drop down in levels if you're 2 to 15 or at 17 or once you get to 20, etc., etc. So, and then I guess there's some price adjusting for gem packs to compensate for exchange rate fluctuation differences. That's really corporate speak to me. That sounds like it's going to increase. I don't know. I think if it was going to get like decrease or go down, it would like be in effect already, or they would announce that. So who knows? But in any case, that is. Oh no, that was actually an older notification. That's right. Alright, so that's pretty much everything in Client here in Master Duel. Not too much, again, mostly just the Duelist Cup starting and that new Unchained Abomination mate. But speaking of the Duelist Cup, let's go over here to Master Duel meta, and let's actually start with, yeah, Duelist Cup decks. So this is just more information that we already saw in-app about the Duelist Cup, but I was kind of curious to take a peek as, you know, Master Duel meta is tracking all of the decks that are submitted that have hit the max level. So Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I figured we'd quickly gloss over a few. Like, I saw Madolche right at the top, so I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I see multiple copies of Great Card Divine Incarnate right off the bat. But we got Lab is pretty expected. Cashier is pretty expected. Sky Striker. Ooh, we have Plunder Patrol. The cool thing about the first wave, I think in particular, of the Duelist Cup is that you'll see a lot of really interesting decks as the Duelist Cup brings not just people who usually grind ranked ladder, but you know, everyone from all ranks and people who might not even normally play Duelist or Master Duel that much, rather might be grinding out a Duelist Cup. So we got some ninjas, I saw some, yeah, Dragon Links there. Sprites with Hero Kid, which I'm not a huge fan of, but, you know, to each their own. So, we got heroes there. Ooh, Tier Laments. I've been working on Tier Laments quite a bit myself, as you've probably seen in the recent videos, so... Actually, has that come out yet? That might be coming out tomorrow. It'll depend. It's either came out yesterday or will come out tomorrow. We'll see. Cassia Pearly. I think that's actually the first Pearly list we've seen, surprisingly enough, and it's one playing the shit all package, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Yeah, they're not even playing the Winda either. It's really odd to me. But, ooh, Phantom Knights, that's cool. We'd love to see Phantom Knights. God, it's been a minute since I've played that deck. Yuumi Control. Why do we still call this deck Yuumi Control? It's just a stun deck. Like, it's just a stun deck. Let's be real. We got Photon, Flu for higher Sword Soul, Tri-Brigade. Oh, wow, it's not even... it's not even a Sprite Tri-Brigade. It looks like it's Scareclaw Tri-Brigade. That's pretty cool. More Sky Striker. Seeing lots of Sky Striker lately, which is interesting. More Pearlies, Dragon Link, Lab, Gishi. Oh, with Sprites, yep. Lab, Sprite, Runic Sprite in particular. Flu. We've got a Scareclaw list here. Looks like Scareclaw Cache. It's pretty rad. Megalith Drytron. Now there's a deck. Holy cow, look at that. With the Vanities Ruler too. Ooh, that's a pretty spicy tech right there. Vanities Ruler, for those who don't know, just says your opponent cannot special summon. So definitely a pretty spicy card to be playing there. Dinomorphia I actually played against... Wait, Phoebe? I might have... Did I play against this person? I feel like I've played against... That name looks familiar. That name and also Dinomorphia look familiar, because I've actually played against Dinomorphia recently. I wonder if it was that person, but... I got Lab. 999 is a player I see on the Master Duel subreddit all the time. Bika Lab Cache. Yeah, so if you're interested in checking out some of these decks that are doing well, that have been reported to Master Duel meta anyway, in the Duelist Cup, yeah, definitely feel free to pop on over here and take a peek at some of these. We did also get an unconfirmed leak. It's a pretty interesting one. So we got 4 cards that were highlighted that should be releasing in the next pack. 2 of which are actually cards that have been on the ban list for quite some time and looks like they're about to come off. One of which is the infamous Yada Garasu. For those who are unfamiliar with Yada Garasu, this card was the key to pretty much one of the first, like, very dominant top-tier decks kind of ever in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was Yada-Lock. And I don't know that that was one of the, like, top-tier decks ever, but it was the first time, like, a really powerful and really gross strategy became the top deck. So, of course, the idea was to summon Yada Garasu and attack your opponent directly while they had no cards in hand and field. Sounds situational, but remember that pre-Errata Chaos Emperor Dragon very easily destroyed all cards in both players' hand and field, and as long as you controlled a Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest, you could use it to search up the Yada Garasu and then summon it and then effectively lock your opponent out of the duel. Nowadays, if your opponent's got no cards in hand or field, they're just probably dead that turn anyway. So having the Yada Garasu, which isn't particularly searchable and it can't be special summoned, you know, it just is a lot of hoops to jump through to try to do the same thing. So that's a long way of saying I think it's totally fine for Yada to come back. It's been a long, long time since this card has been a problem, and I think it's been a long time since this card has no longer been a problem. As you can see, it's at both 3 and TCG and OCG, which is also true of Teller Knight Ptolemies. So this card, I'm actually weirdly even more surprised it's still on the ban list than Yada Garasu, because this was one I feel like could have come off. I mean, obviously Yada's been on longer, so it probably could have come off sooner, but at the same time, Teller Knight Ptolemies, for those who don't know, It does have a turn skip effect if it has 7 materials, but that's not why this card is actually banned as far as I know. It's actually banned for the first effect where you detach 3 to rank up, because what people would do is they would go into Cyber Dragon Infinity. And once upon a time, Cyber Dragon Infinity was actually so powerful that this card that generically went into it needed to get banned as a result. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, an Omni Negate is a strong effect, but it's been so long since an effect like Cyber Dragon Infinity has been an issue. If people really want to, in a deck where they're jamming out 3 level 4 monsters, go for the Ptolemies into Cyber Dragon Infinity, I think we've reached a point in the game where that's 100% fine. And in a lot of archetypes, if you've got 3 level 4 monsters, you can probably be doing way better stuff than that. So yeah, these cards are both kind of like, it's funny, on a stream recently, and I kind of thought about making a video like this too. We went through like the whole Master Duel ban list and talked about everything that could feasibly come off, and these were 2 cards where I just kind of like saw them and I was like, yeah, I don't know why this card is still banned. It doesn't make any sense to me. But all right, so those are coming back at 3 apiece to 2 rather at 3 apiece, comma TOO. I know that sounded kind of confusing, but anyway, we got a couple of new cards coming in, one of which is Duel Avatar. Manifested Aun. And the reason I laugh when I see this card is because for those who don't know much about the Duel Avatar archetype, I'm not going to get into them too much in this video, but I would encourage you to Google them and just, or not even just Google them, look them up in Master Duel and just peruse their effects. They are we'll just say not one of the better archetypes that's been released recently. It's kind of baffling. The way they read, it kind of reads like an archetype that was released like 10 years ago. And it feels like it still would have been a bit of a mid-archetype if it were released 10 years ago. So this new support card is definitely cool, but it doesn't really do a lot for the archetype as far as solving its problems or making it worth playing. Yeah, a lot of you have probably never even heard of the Duel Avatar archetype, and yeah, the reason is because they're bad. Infinitrack is not a bad archetype, and they are getting another new piece of support, the Road Roller. Let me read this one real quick. If an Earth Machine monster is distributed or banished face up, you can specialist card from the graveyard if it was there when the monster is distributed or banished, or the hand even if not. But banish it when it leaves the field. You can use this effect of Road Roller once per turn. Exceeds a monster whose original type is a machine has this effect, or gains this effect. Face up. Monsters your opponent controls are whoa, that's actually, oh my god. So if I'm reading this right, you know, any machine exceeds monster that has this Road Roller as a material just applies a continuous condition that all of the opponent's face-up monsters are changed to defense mode and they lose 1,000 defense. That's not bad. I mean, it doesn't negate the monster's effects or anything, so you do still got to watch out for that. But this can definitely make your opponent, like, trying to win the game actually a lot more difficult for them. So I don't know much about the Infinitrack archetype as, you know, an individual archetype. I know a lot of their cards are played in Earth Machine decks, which, to be fair, I also don't have really any experience with. But this effect seems like it might be worth exploring. Again, changing everything the opponent controls into defense mode not only stops them from being able to win the duel because they can't attack you, but they also lose 1,000 defense, which definitely makes them a lot easier to run over there. And if nothing else, it seems like it's a free body that comes back from the graveyard under the right circumstances. So yeah, seems like a pretty cute card for the deck there. Overall, does it seem like it's going to be the most exciting pack just based on these leaks alone? But I think we just had a really exciting pack full of meta decks. So I think it's fine if we have a little bit of a lackluster one to follow up with. Whoops, I changed over back to Master Duel there. I meant to go over to the next tab. Wanted to talk about some tournament results, including the Master Circuit Series. Season 2 is back online, and I played in it, and I ended up going 3-3. I actually ended up losing my first round to... oh, what was their name? I think they topped, actually, so maybe I can find them here real quick. But it was somebody who had, like, Quantal. Here it is, the person who got fourth here, Quantal Think. Yeah, I lost round 1 to Quantal, and I was definitely more than a bit intimidated when my round 1 opponent rolled up with, like, World Championship accessories. So I was like, holy cow. But it was still a very good back and forth duel. And I ended up losing to Lab and Sword Soul. 2 Labyrinth, 1 Sword Soul for my 3 losses. And my 3 wins were against 2 Pearly and a Kashtira. So I knew going into the tournament, I was on Sprite, of course. I knew going into the tournament that Lab was going to be my toughest matchup. I didn't quite expect to see as many as there were in the tournament. There was like 14% of the total pool was Labyrinth, so. But yeah, we had 256. I don't know if we had exactly 256, but it was around that, which is quite a bit more than a lot of other tournaments we see here. But it ended up being Branded yet again. That one, I'm telling you, Branded and the people who really know that deck can really pilot it to a lot of great success, as we're seeing in a lot of these recent tournament results. Fun fact about Karibo's list here: they're playing 60 cards, and oh no, I'm sorry, that's a Dragon Link list that I'm going to point that out about earlier, but or later rather. But yeah, Branded taking first place, and again on a 60 card list. Looks like Pearly ended up taking second place with a, yeah, I mean, no Dark Worlds, just playing the Fenrir's instead, playing a couple of Book of Eclipse for tech, but seems like a very non-greedy build to me. Mathmech ended up coming in third place, and I think that's really cool. I have definitely been thinking about exploring Mathmech a lot more lately, and this result that they put up here has definitely encouraged me to do that. And again, here's Quantal with their lab list. Again, I played against this person in round 1. They rolled up with World Championship accessories, and I was going to say got crushed, but it was, again, actually a pretty decent back and forth, but yeah, it was an imperm. It was a turn 1 imperm, because I ended up going first, but them imperming my Gigantic just totally screwed me up, and it was really hard to recover from that. Alright, we finally have a Kashtira list here in top 8. Looks like they are, in fact, on Planet Pathfinder. Kind of seems like it's the way to go. Oh, they're playing Small World as well. That's interesting. Yeah, seems pretty rad. Jay got top 8 with Lab, or not Lab, cheese, with Branded, which is rad. Jay, I'm pretty sure watches the channel. I know somebody was telling me that, or I could be mixing up with somebody else. Sorry, I don't mean to be presumptuous if I am, but I did a little bit of testing with Jay, actually, to get ready for the MCS. So really cool to see them top. Congrats for sure. Got another Lab here on Gamma. Another Mathmech. Wow, I actually didn't know there was 2 Mathmech in top 8. A Tony here on yet another Branded list. This one being 60 cards. Here's a Pearly list from Dio Branded. Blackwing managed to sneak into the top 16 there. I'm looking for this. There's one list I want to point out in particular. Not this one. This is Flandres on the wrong barrier statue, but no, this one still works for them. I Wish I Was Zed, another good friend of mine, who is a known kind of deck expert in the YugiTube, I guess, sphere in general. He's played a lot in a lot of MBT's tournaments, and is a very, very good deck builder. So awesome to see him get top 16 with Lab, one of his pet decks here. Oh, here's the deck I wanted to point out, piloted by Gary the Merchant, MCS mainstay from last season. So Gary was on a 60-card Dragon Link deck that didn't play any Bestials. If you look at this list, there is not one single Bestial monster in this deck, which is that's definitely a call. We're playing like Cyframe Gear Delta instead, which is like the Gamma for spell cards, which, you know, with Pearly and Cash, obviously Pearly a lot more, but Cash is fairly spell reliant as well between Theosis and Birth. It's not a bad call, honestly. The Ghost of Mourners as well. This is a pretty wild list, but obviously it worked for them, so. I get another Cash list here, also on this one on Pathfinder and Desires, which is what I was kind of thinking about testing for my next Cash build, so interesting to see that. Got a Runic Naturia here, and that's it. So only a couple of Kashtira lists, and none of them were in top 4 or better. And as we go to our next tournament breakdown, that's actually going to be a trend that continues in an even bigger extreme. If you look at the top 16 for this latest China tournament, which had 114 players, there is not a single pure Kashtira deck in this top 16 at all. There's one Kashtira Punk deck, but yeah, I think a lot of people are really starting to see that, like, Kashtira is pretty inconsistent, and if you're not like a dedicated pilot who's like really exploring the build, this is a really hard deck to pick up and do well with, like, on a more casual level. I say casual, obviously it's a very competitive deck, but when I say casual, I mean, like, you know, to somebody who doesn't know the deck extensively, which I'm just going to take a second here real quick to say, I told you so, I told you so, nana boo boo, I told you so. I'm referring to, on Twitter actually, about a week and a half before the Kashtira stuff came out, I made a tweet saying, I really don't think a Rise Heart Pass is going to be like the end-all be-all of the meta like everyone says it is. And so many people told me I was so wrong, that I was a clueless Master Duel player, that I clearly didn't know what I was talking about because this deck was obviously going to dominate in Master Duel. And I think these were a lot of TCG players who are used to playing with 3 Wraithsoth, 3 Prosp, and a Terraforming. But, yeah, with the deck's consistency absolutely tanked, it seems that the deck is not nearly as dominant as a lot of people told me it was going to be in that tweet. Sorry, I just had to take that moment because, again, I just, like, I knew it. I knew the deck was going to be good, but I knew it wasn't going to be, you know, these people saying that graveyard decks are going to be unplayable and that a Rise Heart Pass is going to be the only thing you see on ladder. It's just like, fun little tip here. These over-exaggerations, don't buy into them. Like, they are just that, over-exaggerations. The truth is always a lot more nuanced, especially when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Discourse. Like, there's just a lot of, like, misinformation that ends up getting spread in that regard. So, I encourage you to think critically and form your own opinion. But, in any case, we're seeing one of the 2 Spiral lists actually winning out this tournament. Spiral, again, taking 2 of the top 16 spots here, which is pretty wild, and again, winning the tournament. As I've said before, you know, we have all of these new meta decks coming in, but it's the people who are sticking to an older deck they know very well, I'm, again, presuming this person knows Spiral pretty well, that are doing well and actually winning the tournament. So, you know, go figure. Got Pearly coming up here in 2nd and 3rd. Oh, Pearly Tier Limit in 3rd, which I've heard, I don't know how true this is, I've heard that this style of deck is actually decently popular in a lot of, like, Chinese and Japanese, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel communities, so maybe it's an idea worth exploring, who knows, but very interesting, the ratios here especially. Alright, we have another branded list coming in top 4 here, followed up with another Sky Striker here in top 8. I say another, the last Sky Strikers we saw were in the Duelist Cup, but oh my god, here's a Catapult Turtle FTK deck. I'm not sure exactly what the combo line is, but from what I can gather, it's an Arc Rebellion OTK, where basically we're using all our stuff to make a giant Arc Rebellion and then launching it at our opponent's face with Catapult Turtle for lethal, so that's cute. Always cute. Gishki Sprite, finally seeing this deck get a top. Have not been seeing a lot of people just play this deck in general, honestly. But Gishki Sprite finally getting at least a little bit of rep. I'm assuming if Master Duel would load... I don't know if anyone else has this issue with Master Duel meta. Sometimes it just does not like to load. Like, my internet's fine. It's just the site in particular. But, okay, here's another Pearly list. And there we go. There's the top 8. And then, wanted to take a look at a Master Cup here. This top 16 does have 5 Kashtira in it, but this tournament's also only 55 players. So, I'm guessing there were just a lot of Kashtira decks in the tournament period. But... still wanted to gloss over this other top result here. Got Pearly taking the W, followed up by Lab with a Tackle Crusader tech. Very nice there. Kashtira coming in top 4, and we have another Pearly. Mikonko actually in top 8 here. Okay. Here's another Kashtira list. I'm assuming this is... oh no, this is Rescue Ace. Hell yeah. Nice to see Rescue Ace doing well. Ooh, with this, the Security Dragon. I should have put this in my extra deck, actually, for Rescue Ace. This is a very nice, like... it's kind of like Relinquished Anima, but it's a Link 2, but you can use any... it's literally 2 monsters. You can't get more generic for a Link 2 than that, so... definitely worth exploring there. Yeah, there we go. So that covers it for this week in Master Duel. Now that we've seen all these tournament breakdowns, as well as a little bit of leaks, just a little bit, and then the in-game updates as well. Again, very interesting to see how the tournament metas in particular are shaking out. After Kashtira has been released, it does not seem like the deck is, again, doing nearly as well as a lot of people predicted it would. But we'll have to see if that's a trend that is just like... people still trying to figure out the deck, or if that's actually going to continue as weeks go on. But that'll go ahead and do it for this video. Let us now move to the outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.